Well, good morning there to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott YouTube Sports Talk. I want to thank all of my loyal viewers for being with me here on this Monday morning. I was going to take the day off, but number 7 Tennessee had other ideas. Number 7 Tennessee upset number 1 Gonzaga yesterday, 76-73. What a shocker that was. Admiral Schofield hit the game winner with hit a game-winning three with 24 seconds left to give Tennessee the upset victory. He had 30 points. Schofield had 30 points. He only averages 17.9 points per game. 12 of 22 from the field, 6 of 10 from three-point land. Grant Williams, the reigning SEC Player of the Year, 16 points, 12 rebounds, a double-double for him. He only averages 19.9 points per game, and he had 7 assists. And 6 of 13 from the field himself. Jordan Bowden, 11 points, 4 assists. He only averages 8.3 points per game. Keep that in mind. Now for Tennessee, let's think about this for a minute. The Volunteers won because they went 12 of 29 from three-point land. 41.4%, mind you. Now for Gonzaga. Brandon Clark, 21.6 rebounds. He only averages 16.9 points per game. Rui Hashimura, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. He averages 22.2 points per game. That's how important Gonzaga is to him. 8 of 18 from the field, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Corey Kispert, 13 points, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double for him. He only averages 9.7 points per game. He had a good game himself. Zach Norville Jr., he averages 17.6 points per game, 13 points, 3 rebounds. That was it for him. 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 9 from three-point land. Now, how in the world did Tennessee pull off the upset? Grant you, they only went 29-72 for 40.3%. But their three-point shooting was outstanding. Now, I know 12 of 29 doesn't sound good, but that's 41.4%. If you can nail 40% of your three balls, you got it made. And grant you, they only shot 60% from the free throw line, but Tennessee only had 10 trips to the free throw line. Now, Gonzaga did out-rebound Tennessee 41-39. Tennessee out-assisted Gonzaga 22-14. Gonzaga had 11 turnovers. That's what killed them right there. Now, Gonzaga did go 27 of 59 from the field for 45.8%. The three-point shooting could have been better for them. 7 of 18 for 38.9%. Now, grant you, they did shoot 63.2% from the free throw line. They went 12 of 19. But it was Tennessee that got the job done. Tennessee coach Jeremy Pruitt said after the game, "I was very proud of our team. We got the biggest upset. I was so happy for our team. Schofield is the hero." And Admiral Schofield was the hero. A three-pointer with 24 seconds left, and they jumped on Gonzaga early. And Tennessee even fought back from a 9-point deficit in the second half. That's how big this game was. And this is the first win over a number 1 team since Kansas in 2010 for the Tennessee Volunteers. Now let's think about this for a minute. Schofield had to step up when Grant Williams fouled out with 2.5 minutes left in the ball game. And I'll tell you what, hats off to the Volunteers. They didn't give in. When Grant Williams fouled out of the game, everybody was thinking, Tennessee's doomed. Zach Norville Jr. and Rui Hashimura had a chance. Both of them had a chance to hit a three-pointer with just a few seconds left in the ball game. Neither one of them couldn't do it. And I'll tell you right now, it was a great game all the way around. Gonzaga coach Mark Few said after the game, this game felt like it was March Madness. It felt like with March. This game had a March Madness feeling. I was just disappointed we didn't win. Tennessee coach Jeremy Pruitt said after the game, it was crazy. Right from the word go. We jumped on Gonzaga early. We got them in trouble. We came back from a deficit and we won. And this game did have a feeling of March Madness. Which leads me to my next point. All the games I watched this weekend from not just Tennessee Gonzaga yesterday. Let's think about this. Seton Hall, Kentucky on Saturday. 84-83, Seton Hall upset Kentucky in overtime. Indiana, Louisville. Indiana took it 68-67. That game had a March Madness feeling. Marquette upset number 12 Wisconsin 74-69 in overtime. This game here, this one right here, was March Madness. Georgetown, Syracuse, the old Big East rivalry. Syracuse took it 72-71. This right here, this old school Big East rivalry, March Madness written all over it. This might as well have been March Madness. Michigan State, Florida, 63-59. Michigan State survives. This one was crazy. New Mexico State almost pulled off the upset over Kansas. Kansas took it 63-60. Here's a $64,000 question. Will Kansas be number one when the new polls come out today? This game had a March Madness feeling to it. Florida State, UConn. Florida State beat UConn 79-71. This game had a March Madness feeling to it. Notre Dame, UCLA. 65-62, UCLA took it. This game didn't end until almost 12:30 in the morning. This game was the reason why I was late coming on the air late Saturday night, early Sunday morning for my wrap-up show. All these games I mentioned were decided, most of them were decided by 3 points or less. Think about this. Notre Dame, UCLA, 3 points or less. Florida State, 79-71, Florida State takes it. Kansas, number 2 Kansas, New Mexico State, decided by 3. Michigan State, Florida, decided by 4. Syracuse takes it by Georgetown over 1 in the final seconds. Marquette takes it by 5 over number 12 Wisconsin. Louisville beats Indiana by 1. And Seton Hall upsets on number 9 Kentucky by 1 right out of the gate. All these games I mentioned had a March Madness feeling to it. I mean, when it was all over at 12:30 in the morning after I did my show, it took me a half hour, 45 minutes to come back down to earth after this wild weekend. And I figured, Sunday, be fairly quiet. Number 7 Tennessee, number 1 Gonzaga. I figured, okay, be fairly close. Lo and behold, Tennessee upsets Gonzaga. Now here's the new $64,000 question. Who's going to be number 1? As you know, Duke blew Yale right out of the building. 81, I think it was like 81-50 or 49 or something like that. I don't remember the final score. All I know is Duke dominated Yale. But I'll tell you what, for the first few minutes, Yale did put up a fight. I will give you that. But when Kansas just barely escapes over New Mexico State, I can't vote them number 1. If I had a vote right now, Duke would be number 1. They would be my number 1 because of the way they beat Yale and after the way Kansas played against New Mexico State. Think about it for a minute. Kansas barely survived New Mexico State. Duke humiliated Yale in Cameron Indoor. That's all there is to it. Based on that, Duke's my number 1. Duke will be my number 1 team if I had a vote. Sadly, I don't, but that's just my opinion. And I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash over this, but let's think about this. Duke has shown me a lot. They're going to be the top. It's going to come down to Duke, North Carolina for the ACC crown. I have that feeling. I know it's like that every year, and I know you hate Coach. I know a lot of you hate talking about Coach K and Roy Williams. I hate Roy Williams with a pea purple passion. I admit. And Coach K is a legend. I like him, and I love Duke. And I proudly admit it. I know my family's going to kill me, but that's just the way I am. So Duke, in my opinion, should be the number 1 team in the nation. Will that happen? We'll have to wait and see on that. However, Kansas should not be number 1. After the way they played against New Mexico State, my vote goes to Duke. Bottom line. And Tennessee, I'll tell you what, I think the Volunteers should move up a couple of spots because Ohio State struggled again, because Michigan struggled against Northwestern. Nevada had no problem. They had to play kind of a close one against Grand Canyon, too. But I think Tennessee should move up a few spots. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm telling you, Duke will be number 1, in my opinion. Will it happen? It better happen. I'm telling you right now, Duke just blew Yale right out of Cameron Indoor. Kansas barely survived New Mexico State. So based on that, Duke, in my opinion, should be the number 1 team in the nation. And that's all I'm going to say this morning because I got to get ready for a show tonight. And that's all I'm not going any further here this morning. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys for taking a few minutes with me here this morning to go over this crazy weekend in college basketball. It was crazy, and I admit, what will this weekend bring? Only time will tell that. But I'm telling you, March Madness is going to be here before you know it. What we saw this past weekend was a sample of what we're going to be seeing in March. But let me tell you, getting into January, we go into conference play, and that's when it's really going to get crazy. You think this weekend was crazy? To me, this was just warm up of what we're going to be seeing in January, going from January to March, when March Madness gets underway. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you so much for being with me. Have a great day, and God bless.